Hello and welcome back to Coffee and Kurosawa, the friendly film crit podcast. I am your host and resident film freak, Ben Filipkowski.
And I am Farrah Sarpkaya, a person who loves film, but like in a super chill, the amount of flirting that goes on over books in this movie is peak sort of way. And this week we are watching The Big Sleep. Based on the book by Raymond Chandler, this film was released in 1946. Starring Humphrey Bogart and Lauren Bacall, this is the epitome of a noir detective film. We open on the arrival of Philip Marlowe to the Sternwood mansion where General Sternwood is in need of help. He's being blackmailed, and he needs a detective to solve that particular problem. But before he can get on with the case, even before he can leave the house, the General's eldest daughter, a Mrs. Vivian Rutledge, asks to see him. She questions Marlowe on what problem he's trying to solve for the General, and this kind of kicks off a film filled with twists and turns, where Marlowe's just trying to solve a blackmail problem laid out before him by the General, but people keep asking him about this Sean Regan guy, and he becomes entangled in various murders, blackmail schemes, and disappearances that culminate in a shootout and some very dramatic kisses. As always, spoilers for this near century-old movie, but you should go watch it. It's really good, and join us when you've concluded it. Ben, this was your first time watching this movie, and you did it half asleep. So Tell me how you enjoyed it.
Yeah, ironically, I needed a it might be the lack of sleep from raising a newborn or just how twisty the plot is in this movie, but I definitely had some trouble following the story. There's so many starts and stops to this mystery that the final reveal felt a little mundane, but the atmosphere was really cool throughout. I also want to point out that this is the second Howard Hawks movie we've covered here. It is wildly different to Gentlemen Prefer Blondes, but I like the kind of workmanlike style Hawks has as a director. The shots in this, I wouldn't say are very fancy, but they're very well structured. They're not really mundane. They're really very competently put together sort of movie. Which, boy, I feel like I'm damning with faint praise by saying that. This is a really well made movie. It's just it's not necessarily super flashy. I really liked this little moment in I think it's the club or the casino or the gambling house in the third act, where you have Bogart in the foreground. And the camera does this really subtle rack focus because he's in focus and everything's out of focus, and then suddenly the background's in focus and he's a little out of focus. Then he walks over to another door and the camera's still tracking him, and everything has that epic deep focus work that we've seen in Citizen Kane. I thought that was a really neat little trick that they pulled. I don't know how I felt about the musical number there. That felt kind of thrown in, but whatever. Overall, this is a good movie. I wish I could tell you with certainty what the exact story is, because everyone keeps talking about Sean Regan and Geiger and Rutledge and Mars. But I really want to know who killed the chauffeur. Who did that? Because they don't.
It was Brody.
Was it Brody? I don't think it was Brody.
No. I think it was Brody because he stole the film negatives of Carmen to blackmail them with. Yeah. I'm pretty sure. So we have to double check, but I'm pretty sure.
I was confused by this because this is something I was like, wait, that never got addressed. And I'm going to quote here. Midway through filming, Hawks and the cast realized that they did not know whether the chauffeur Owen Taylor had killed himself or was murdered. A cable was sent to Raymond Chandler, who told his friend Jamie Hamilton in a March 21st, 1949 letter, "They sent me a wire asking me, and damn it, I didn't know either."
Okay.
So the chauffeur's just dead.
The chauffeur is just dead. Yeah. I assumed it was the chauffeur because the implication is that the chauffeur grabbed the photos to protect Carmen and then ran, but the car went off the pier into the water. So how else would Brody get the photos if not diving into the water for film negatives? That doesn't make sense.
Well, isn't the chauffeur the chauffeur's been hit hard enough on the back of the head? I thought that was isn't that the I don't know, man.
Listen, if
Raymond Chandler doesn't
Raymond Chandler didn't know,
it's okay. I think it was very funny because I was just like, who did this?
Yes.
Um,
The true mystery is who killed the chauffeur, and we'll never know.
yeah,
That's very funny.
yeah.
It's like the layout of that T-Rex enclosure in Jurassic Park. We'll never know. It's not. It still doesn't. Like, I get it, but it still doesn't make sense.
Yeah, I feel like I made a real meal out of that thing. It's like when I think about it, it's like, it doesn't really matter. But I couldn't stop thinking about it. Yeah, this is a good movie. Good movie.
Good.
But I think like the confusion over who killed the chauffeur and my confusion over the plot. Again, not just because I myself needed a big sleep. I think it's indicative of kind of one of the things that we wanted to talk about, and that is that this movie is more about the investigative process than the results of that process.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, what a great segue, Ben. Good job. We haven't done this in a while, and this is just a beautiful look at. We still remember how to do this. The film itself is like 2 hours long, and it's just following Philip Marlowe around as he tries to investigate who done it, who did the thing. But specifically, he's trying to investigate, okay, who is trying to blackmail the general? How do I stop them from blackmailing the general? And I'll be honest, like, I don't know that they do kind of answer that question too, but that's kind of beside the point at the end.
Yeah, I mean,
don't care.
He figures that out pretty quickly.
Yeah,
it's the whole. Is it Guy? It is Geiger doing that, I believe. No. Geiger's in the other side of the plot.
Yes.
Yeah, because like he's hired to figure out what the to resolve the debts to Geiger.
Yes.
But then the blackmail thing comes after he tries to resolve the thing with Geiger, because the resolution to the thing with Geiger is that Geiger gets killed pretty quick.
Yes.
And yeah, it's so it's basically just like everyone, and none of it's like a red herring, but there are a lot of moments of like, well, I shouldn't say a lot of moments. It is really just Marlowe is following up on leads. Like he's like, oh, I got a lead, I'm going to go follow it up. I got another lead, I'm going to go follow it up. I got a hunch, I'm going to follow it up. And there's even a point later on where who's the character? Jones. I can barely remember. Yeah, I barely remember how Jones is involved in this.
He and Agnes got together.
Oh yeah.
In the third act.
Yeah. Yeah, Jones is madly in love with Agnes, and is allegedly knows where the gangster Mars's wife is.
Mm-hmm.
And Marlowe's like, cool, that's good. Jones winds up killed, and Marlowe follows up on this lead, and it turns out Jones just lied. So, like,
no, they knew where she was. They found him.
They do, but like he realizes, like, oh yeah, like Jones lied about. No, sorry, not the wife. He lied about where Agnes was.
Oh yeah, of course he did.
Yeah.
He lied to the man that was trying to kill Agnes.
Yeah.
And him
and Marlowe. Yeah.
Yes.
But yeah, it's just like there's just so many things that. Yeah, this is very much what one would assume an actual like private investigation would be like. You're just following up with people, and they all have their own agendas, and they're all trying to leverage something or run a. Well, I shouldn't say that. They all have their own agendas. In a fictional world, they all have their own scams and their own motivations to do dastardly things.
Well, it's a hard world out there, kid. Everybody got to have a scheme or something.
Yeah. Everyone talks like that in this too. Like everyone talks like Bogey.
It's the accent. It is the classic Atlantic accent.
Well,
and
it's so funny because when Marlowe meets Brody.
Mm-hmm.
Too many names. Marlowe meets Brody. it's just like they're both trying to out Bogart each other, which is really fun. Like they both do the same voice. Um, and then of course Lauren Bacall also has, the female Bogart voice. Uh, now see,
A
yeah,
classic accent that proliferated in the 30s and 40s in film for a myriad of reasons. It's actually quite fascinating.
well, it's the this
The
is like
transatlantic.
well, this is like
Yeah.
the film noir transatlantic
Yeah.
versus the
I
Catherine
see what you
Hepburn
mean. The
transatlantic.
dial it up just a scooch
Yeah,
to be really
the
like
posh version.
something.
This is the
Yeah.
the gritty version of the transatlantic.
Fair. Oh God. Yeah. I mean, there's a this is kind of why for me it's one of those like peak noir films, because it just really has that like everybody's talking like this, and it's
Yeah.
like just a little bit of you've got that
Yeah.
the whole thing with film noir, right, is that there's this beautiful sheen, and because it takes place on the West Coast in like Hollywood, Los Angeles.
Yeah.
There's this beautiful sheen over everything, but just under the surface, everything is gritty and dark and dirty and just a mess. And so it makes sense that you would have the transatlantic, and then you would just like rough it up a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's not just that; it's like the gangster kind of transatlantic.
Yeah. I really like that opening bit with Marlowe and the general is like bundled up in like a huge house coat and blankets in his wheelchair and is in the greenhouse because it's the hottest place on his property. And he's like arguably still cold. And Marlowe's like, mind if I take my jacket off? Like, it's really hot.
No, he offers for Marlowe to take his jacket off, and he's just like, here, take all of the drinks because it is so hot in this room. I don't have any more drink. Like
And just that bit about like, do you know orchids? And Marlowe's like, nope, don't know a thing about it. And the general's like, oh, they're the worst plant ever. They're like people. They suck.
Yeah, they're fleshy. They're off. Yeah, it's well. I mean, that kind of is this investigation of you just have vignette. We never see the general again. To be very clear, we see him the one time where he gives Marlowe the initial ask of, "Hey, take care of this blackmail for me," and then we are only ever dealing with the butler or with Vivian or with Carmen or with like the criminals that are like around the case. And I kind of just really like it. I also really love that this film does the thing that a lot of old movies used to do that I wish we would bring back, is they would linger on the street sign or like the number on the door or whatever. And so they would literally just tell us where we are in the world instead of just being like, quick take, we're over here now. It's like, where? I don't know where. I need to rewind to remind myself where we are now. And I appreciate that a lot from a storytelling perspective.
Yeah, I mean, like, it's the establishing shot. Except nowadays, like, taken to its extreme, the establishing shot is now like every new location we're going to have like the helicopter footage of like the skyline, and they'll say something like it'll be like the Big Ben clock tower, and they'll be like London, England, like just in case you didn't know, like they'll have the chyron on screen.
Having it built into the world feels so much more natural and so much less like epic in a good way. I don't want everything to be epic. I want just like a street sign.
It keeps it relatively street level, I think, is both like literally and at the metaphorical sense of like, this is a street level story about fairly petty crime and crossing different echelons of society.
Marlowe's really not concerning himself with like upper level politics here. He's really just dealing with this like one guy who maybe sells drugs and definitely sells dirty books.
Yeah.
And that's about it.
Well, he sells. I think he sells something. The film is
He
reticent,
sells dirty books.
but the film is reticent to outright confirm
Well,
reasons,
of course.
for reasons.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, yes. Reasons we'll get into in a few minutes.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, that's kind of a noir thing generally, right? Is it doesn't necessarily, it has a lot of themes that span a broader view of society and the problems in society and the inequity and so on. But like, it doesn't often address directly those things. It is very much human centric and like small stories, not I'm gonna save the world kind of stories. It's literally just this guy's being a jerk and we're gonna deal with that.
Yeah.
And I love that, and I love the use of vignette to really keep us grounded because we meet so many fun characters in the process of his investigation as well, which I think is part of the fun of it.
Yeah. Yeah, I particularly like the initial like investigation at Geiger's bookstore where Marlowe goes like undercover.
Yes.
With the at the time brand new fashion item sunglasses. It just turns up the rim of his hat to be a bit more of a bit more of like a stereotypical academic versus the hard boiled
yeah
PI
hard boiled gumshoe.
Yeah,
he changes his posture, he changes his like face shape as well. But yeah, his undercover is just tilt my hat, put on some sunglasses that I can dramatically peek over.
Argentinian ceramic, and is immediately called as like it's ceramic, not ceramic.
Well, you did read a book once, didn't you?
Yeah, it's a good bit.
God, that is truly. I just because the investigation starts in the library, which I kind of love, in the Hollywood Public Library, and then he has this little back and forth with Agnes, the woman we will know soon is named Agnes, and then another man comes in the room, looks panicked at Agnes and Philip Marlowe. And she just kind of like shakes her finger to the back and he just goes right in the back room. And you're like, okay, it's a different kind of book. Like, I know they don't confirm it because we never see, what they're actually producing. But yeah, it's pretty obvious what they keep in the back room.
Yeah, Geiger is, I mean, like his rare books shop is like a front for a pornography business, which is how Carmen is kind of dragged into all of this with the incriminating photos. Yeah. But I like also that Marlowe, he does all this research, but he specifically comes up with things that are factually incorrect about rare, but like he finds like the most niche, like, okay, I'm gonna have like a really niche fact. I'm gonna get something glaringly wrong with it, and I'm gonna use that as my like litmus test for how legit these people are. Yeah, and Agnes does not pass the test, so he goes over to there's like a bookstore on the other side of the street, and asks the same questions, and the very laden with gumption. What's the word I'm looking for? There's the bookstore clerk has a lot of gumption.
I adore
and
her.
It's like, that doesn't exist. You're making that up.
Yep. I adore that character so much. And we'll talk about her too. This is the problem with trying to set conversational guidelines so we don't just blur all of the things, is that I want to talk about all of the things. But I mean, the nature of vignettes is that that just happens. Because, like, when he does cross the street and he asks those same questions of her, it helps him validate, what's going on. And then she ends up, like, he asks, what does Geiger look like? And she gives him a very good description that is actually quite hilariously flirty in a couple of ways, which is fun too.
Yeah.
And like, you'd make a good cop. It's like, oh, look at these two. Look at these two being fun and cheeky. It's very sweet. Oh, it's so good.
Yeah. I think I disagree a little bit with the idea that they're like vignettes, because it is very much like Marlowe is tasked with something. He goes to follow it up. He uncovers something new, which leads him to the next. It's very like, he does this, therefore, or because, and then he does this because of this, but then this happens, but then he uncovers this, which means. So it is very like, if I had to like ascribe a word to it, I would say it's a bit more like episodic. Like we're given these like beats and moments that add up to the greater whole, versus there's a connection between everything. Yeah.
All right, Benoit Blanc. But I mean, this is a very heavy precursor of the Knives Out series, which, shameless plug, we just did an episode on a couple weeks ago. And the reaching the terminus and finding the hole in the donut, or the donut hole in the whatever, is very much his style. He's just like, well, I found a clue, I'm going to follow it. I found a clue. Like, which is just how a detective do. Like, there's nothing special about that.
Yeah.
But the way that we get to see every step of it and every weird side adventure that comes along with it, like his friend in the DA office, who I think was previously his boss, maybe.
Yeah, because Marlowe worked for the DA as well. Yeah.
Yeah, and he was just really bad at following orders, which, like, that tracks with this character.
Yeah.
He comes in and he's like, hey, so I hear you're working the Sternwood case. We have a car in the river or in the ocean that just happens to have the Sternwood name on it. Want to come check it out? And then by the end, Marlowe's able to wrap up some loose ends, if perhaps not the chauffeur, as we've already discussed. And those little side stories are the things that make it confusing, but also the things that make it, I don't want to say realistic, because that's not quite right, because it's not necessarily real, but like, it feels more real because people are complicated.
Yeah, it adds a texture to everything that you otherwise wouldn't have. And I do like I mean, it's nothing new, but it I like the kind of, Marlowe is someone who walks between both sides of the law. Like, as a private investigator, he is, on the side of the angels at the end of the day, but he's also very, like, he's on pretty cordial terms with Mars when they meet initially, and like they have like a friendly conversation to the point where it's like Mars is almost like offended. It's like, you think I'd kill Sean Reagan? No, I barely know the guy. Like, I know him, but I wouldn't do that. It's like, hey, I just had to ask. It's that kind of almost friendly neighborhood gangster vibe.
Yeah. They both know that it's just business, it's not personal, sort of thing. Yeah. And there's like an ethics there that is still upheld, even if it is not what law-abiding folk, let's say, would necessarily understand as moral bindings.
Yeah.
Because he does, I think Marlowe describes his relationship with Regan is that they used to exchange drinks between shots and shots between drinks.
Yeah.
Like, they'd do shootouts, but also they'd go drinking together. They're just like, this is just business. I think that's a good description of him.
Yeah, it's good. It's good.
He also does tend to break the law occasionally, literally, when, like, he finds Carmen in Geiger's house. Geiger's been murdered. The photos are gone, but she's just sitting there on a chair where they have been taking photos of her, and she is stoned out of her mind.
Yeah.
And he just brings her home, and and Vivian asks, "Where did you find her?" And he says, "I didn't find her." It's like, "What do you mean? I didn't find her. I was never here. She's been home all night." That bad, huh? Uh-huh. Like he's just and he takes time to like look through the house to steal things to solve the case, like his ledger of all of the people that he's got blackmail on, all this stuff.
Yeah.
So certainly not following the rules kind of guy, but in the end, yes, on the side of the angels, if you will.
Yeah. Like ultimately, he is doing good.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he's an anti-hero, like he skirts
Very
the law.
so.
He's about the job first and foremost, but he's also not going to like sell his soul necessarily.
Mm-hmm.
He's not going to cross certain lines. In his pursuit of his goal.
He is perhaps chaotic good, if you will. He is a Robin Hood of sorts of crime. And yeah, speaking of chaotic good, there's a number of scenes throughout this film where we get very close to crossing the Hays Code.
Mm-hmm.
And every time it brings me joy. every single time. I'm just like, nice. You slid that one right by the censors. I don't like by the 1940s, like, because this is 1946, how like was that being heavily enforced, or do you know, or was it kind of at a point where they were like, we can be a little more wishy-washy because it's been in effect for a little while?
Yeah, the Hays, when was that? We had like a pretty definitive start point for the Hays Code.
Yeah, because it was right before the Thin Man release, and that was in 1934. So it's been in effect for about a little over a decade at the point of the Big Sleep.
Yeah. Yeah, and they really, they really did a lot to like work around the code, or to kind of like toe the line as best they could. Which I think is like a great opportunity to highlight who the screenwriters of this are. This is obviously based on the Raymond Chandler novel. The two writers, the two primary screenwriters would be William Faulkner, the noted and celebrated American author, and Lee Brackett, who we talked about back when we discussed The Empire Strikes Back. Lee Brackett did the first draft screenplay for The Empire Strikes Back, and actually has a screenwriting credit. Lawrence Kasdan took over screenwriting duties for later drafts, but it kind of built on and edited what Brackett had done initially. So, they worked pretty hard. I guess like I'm just reading up on this now, but they were alternating sections of the initial draft and kind of like turned in the final draft together. At which point, it was kind of Howard Hawks and Jules Furthman were rewriting things further during production to help appease censorship from the Hays Code enforcers. Yeah. So they were, just reading here, they were vehement about excluding sexual themes, although Chandler aimed to, quote, disturb his readers and their, quote, sense of justice. External pressure from the studios resulted in some of the book's darker moments getting overshadowed by a romantic subplot or other censorship.
Yep. I don't know if it's because she is a female writer, but like, God, she had some good ways of getting around the code and good ways of writing ladies with gumption. I just adore her. I adore her so much. So we've already kind of touched on the fact that Carmen is being blackmailed with nude photos, effectively.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But they never outright say it because they can't. And also, like, she's a rich girl presumably the daughter of a good-ish family, if not nouveau riche family. And Marlowe finds her dressed in it's kind of a East Asian, I don't know where in the Far East region that outfit is from, so I don't want to assume, but like silks and flower embroidery and etc. And he sniffs the glass next to her, and it's very obviously not alcohol because he does not touch it. I think we get the sense that it's some kind of opiate or whatever, because she is fully out of it. And she is fully clothed because she has to be, but we get the sense that he sees this happen very quickly after she appears at the house. So, and then we proceed to all of the different places where we are being, what's the word I'm looking for? Hinted at other adult activities.
Alluded to these sort of things going on. Yeah. Just reading through, there's a whole section on the film's Wikipedia page that digs into the writing and how they worked around this. They obviously imply that Geiger is telling pornography, and Geiger in the novel is explicitly homosexual. This is just completely omitted from the movie because the Hays Code forbid any sort of depiction of homosexuality. They wrote around the pornography. They just reading here. Carmen had to be fully dressed, and the pornographic elements could only be alluded to with cryptic references to photographs of Carmen wearing a quote Chinese dress and sitting in a quote Chinese chair. And she shows up in Marlowe's apartment, gets kicked out.
Yes. In the book, I think she shows up naked in bed.
Yeah.
It's been a minute since I read it.
Yeah, but in the movie, she just shows up. And he's like, nope, out of here. And that was actually initially cut because there was a 1945 cut of this. And then the movie was properly released in 46 with some slightly different footage.
And it was too spicy that a man and a woman that were unmarried were alone together?
I think like they did the change of like, she's fully clothed. Like she just gets kicked out because she's being... like, hey, get out of here, kid. Versus like,
that's fair.
Yeah.
He does get up to some mischief though, which is again fully like behind the veil of propriety. But like at one point, he takes a cab, and the driver is a woman, and she does a tail job for him. That is not a euphemism. She tails another car to Joe Brody's apartment. And then afterwards, as she's dropping it off, she's like, hey, man, if you ever want to use me again, here's my card. And he says, day or night, as in, like, which is better? And she says, night's better. I work during the day. And it's like, girl, get that. Let's go. Which is delightful. But that library scene, it gets me not the library scene, the bookshop scene. Yeah. It gets me every time. The line, I believe the line is explicitly, Marlowe has come into the bookshop and asked for these questions about these old books. He says, those books don't exist. You can begin to intrigue me. He's like, I'm a dick on a case. And it starts to rain, and he says, I have to, watch and wait till Geiger is leaving to follow him. Can you, I guess I'll just go sit in my car. And she's like, well, we close in about an hour or so. And he's like, well, I have a good bottle of rye in my pocket. I'd much rather get wet in here. And it's so classic. And they fade to black after they have like a little, she takes her hair down, she takes her glasses off. And the inclusion of those things, and the thing that I love about them explicitly, about the cabbie and about this woman in the bookshop, is that there is no inference that these women are like tainted in any way. It's not shown that they are less valuable. It's not shown as like weird that they're hitting on him, but they're also not falling over themselves to hit on him the way we see a lot in like, you know, James Bond-esque type media nowadays of like, oh, I just fall at the hero's feet. Like, no, he's intrigued them somehow. And now we have a conversation and there's some fun banter and they have some agency in that decision rather than just by default, every woman falls at Marlowe's feet. And I appreciate that so much. And also just, yeah, the sneaky way they had to sort of get around the Hays Code with all of the implications.
Yeah. I think that's like a good point to kind of like jump into like the treatment of female characters in this, because I think we kind of touched on this in Gentlemen Prefer Blondes, but Howard Hawks definitely had like a type of female lead that he greatly enjoyed, of like very strong-willed, independent women. And that's kind of the default for pretty much every female character in this.
Yeah.
To some extent. And I think like, I was just thinking about this as you were saying it, but I think it's very funny that Bogart has chemistry with pretty much everybody.
Every person? Yes.
Every person in this movie. But ironically, I don't feel that there's like a ton of great chemistry between him and Bacall, which is really funny because they had an affair that led to Bogart's marriage dissolving before, like, just as production was kicking off on this.
He and Bacall got married right after this. Yeah.
Yeah. And I don't find that their chemistry is the most compelling in this.
Interesting.
I'm just, like, it's fine, you know? Which is and doubly funny because apparently they had to like reshoot their scenes to add more chemistry because like Hollywood execs were like, we don't like Lauren Bacall's performance.
Oh, no.
So.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. I definitely enjoy. I think like I think the greatest amount of chemistry is between the bookstore clerk and Marlowe.
Yes.
Like by far. Anyways, I'm digressing a little bit here, but I think another thing that I wanted to point out is that this is a film that was in production in 1945. World War II is still on. So you see a lot of women working in what would have traditionally been men's roles in this film, just as a result of wartime. But it's not treated as like an oddity. It's just kind of like, yeah, this is normal, and no one's really batting an eye at it or making a big deal out of like, oh, and you're gonna have to go back to your normal womanly jobs. It's like, no, like they're working. I really enjoy that. I think that's like a nice. It's refreshing for this era of filmmaking.
Yes, I definitely agree, and it. A lot of the time, there's discourse around old movies of feeling old-fashioned or stuffy or whatever. I point to movies like this where, yes, we have rotary phones in the diner, and we have the transatlantic accent just about everywhere, trying to out-bogey each other. And there are still some very clear gender roles. But the thing that I find most striking with that is Agnes. So Agnes is the female bookseller who doesn't know about old antique books. She is the front woman for Geiger's shop. And I think we see her go through 2 or 3 different boyfriends in the span of the film. But it's very clear that she's very smart in her own way. Not
Yeah.
necessarily the way that the bookseller across the street is, but like in her own way, she is able to do her own schemes and whatever. And it is the men around her that keep failing, and she says that as much. But
Yeah.
this is the 1940s. Women can't have bank accounts and can't do a lot of things on their own legally. And so if it weren't for those damn laws that kept her unable to do these things, she would be like kind of a boss on her own. And it's just really interesting to see how they take that gumption that is ever present in this film and color it with what happens when she has the gumption, but she is limited by society around her and she cannot overcome that limit. And she just becomes really bitter, I guess. She gets kind of bitter at the end of all of these men failing her. But what I appreciate about it is, of course, that not all of the women in this film are the bookseller kind of the flirty bookseller full of gumption and like this perfect picture of fabulousness. She is the other side of that, and they're all full of gumption in different ways. It's so
Yeah, I think that my read on it, I guess my opinion more than anything, would be that I really like Carmen as a character. I think she's the most interesting character in here because she's just so much going on with her and obviously in need of some intervention or help or support in some way, but still continues to exercise like an independence and a free-spiritedness. Like as much as she's being exploited, she's also not being exploited, if that makes sense. Like she's kind of like fully
she's here for it. Yeah,
she's kind of like eyes open in the things that she's getting involved with. It's just that there are certain expectations from her family and the kind of like reputation of her family that lead to her being exploited, or at least the images of her being exploited versus
Well, it's interesting because her father describes her in the very beginning as a child who likes to pull the wings off of flies. And that, I think, is very indicative of, in a world where that kind of party girl weren't so taboo, like having naked photos of you out in the world if you were doing pornography or something else wouldn't be socially scandalous. She would do it anyway because it's fun. She's just doing whatever she wants because she can, and she's rich and she's young and beautiful and she's just doing it. And she doesn't care about the consequences until they actually impact her existence, which is, I mean, it's very good storytelling, but it's also just like so relatable to so many things in the world.
I think you could read this as like she is a woman acting out against the strictures of her day and age. You know, that might be a modern reading we could take on it. I think also that it's really interesting that as like everything kind of comes to a close, because like it is revealed that Carmen is responsible for killing Regan at the end of it all. Mars insists it's like, oh, she didn't really know what she was doing because she like, you know, she's crazy. You know, she needs psychiatric help. And Marla's like, I don't know about that.
That could be true, but it's also true that she just keeps going around without any care for the consequences, and the end, like, you know.
And I mean, like, even in the end, like they kind of, I would say, frame might be not the right word. They basically frame Mars in his death as being like, oh yeah, and that guy that's dead now is responsible for killing Regan, and not Carmen, but also we're just gonna,
Yes,
maybe you should get Carmen some
please,
psychiatric
please.
help right now.
She, yes,
Yeah,
she is. I won't try to prescribe what she is suffering from, or she is whatever. But yeah, she very much needs help, and one of Marlowe's requirements for keeping quiet is you need to get this person some assistance with your myriad of resources,
yeah,
please, or else she's just going to keep causing absolute havoc and more people will die. So, yeah. Like she
yeah,
fully comes to
yeah,
when her photos are stolen and Marlowe and Vivian separately go to retrieve them. Carmen also shows up with a gun. And we learn later this is not the first time she has used a gun to shoot a man.
yeah,
And clearly this is a perpetual problem that needs to be dealt with. But yeah, like those, at the same time, kind of coming back to the ladies with gumption kind of theme of this right now, is that she does not lack for gumption, to be sure. But the way they portray her imperfectness, and this might have been received differently back then, I don't know. But the way they portray her imperfectness feels a lot more grounded than how we see it nowadays, which is crazy because it was the 40s. Like, I think about even just, Law and Order, pick your poison. Anytime any kind of mental health thing comes up in that kind of media, it is portrayed as something that is wild and unchecked and terrible, and there's a lot of moral panic around that person and their existence. And there's a little bit of that here, but also just get the girl help, please. The end, which, again, imperfect because it's the 1940s, but like that wash of moral panic isn't as pervasive, and it's not really seen as a failing on her part as a human, which is weirdly refreshing. I don't know.
yeah, yeah. It's I get where you're coming from because I think that today there is such a I think to some extent lip service paid to like, oh well, mental health matters and we have to treat it with respect and dignity. It's like, yeah, like we 100% do. We still gotta like help the person. Like we still have to do the thing. And sometimes, it's the Brooklyn Nine-Nine quote of sometimes that means that like it winds up there's like a level of
Mm.
treating things with kid gloves that can result from this as well. And so it's kind of like, yeah, cool motive, still murder. Like your mental health problems are like they're problems. We're not going to deny that they're problems. It doesn't excuse behavior. It explains it. And I think like
provides context for like, moving forward.
It can be a contributing factor.
Yeah.
It provides context. Yeah, and I think like this is kind of like a movie that
literally
it's like, yeah, cool motive, still murder.
Yes,
we gotta address that. And I think I think like, yeah, it's odd that this movie has that degree of respect given the day and age that it came out, and nowadays I think, I don't. God, I'm going to sound like a neoliberal conservative reactionary, but like I think there is almost like we've adopted too much the language of like therapy and counseling without actually adopting the practices. Like people are willing to talk and diagnose themselves to a great degree, but at the end of the day, you got to do the work. And I think this movie kind of recognizes that, like, hey, there's some serious problems here. Well, you got to do the work. We gotta get her the help.
She doesn't
We
belong in
gotta
prison,
make sure she doesn't
but
kill
she
people
does
again.
need some help to not do this again, please.
Yeah,
And it's such an
yeah,
interesting thing to see so early in what we perceive often as
yeah,
the before times.
yeah,
And is in a lot of ways the before times because mental
yeah,
health care back then was not great. But yeah, I don't know. It's
yeah,
there's something very, maybe because it's so messy, just broadly, it's just a messy film. But I love how human it is, including how they handle Carmen and her. He's not,
mhm,
again, I can't diagnose her obviously, but like she's got a manic pixie dream girl vibe going on in some times, and then her temper flares in other times, and you can feel the chaos radiating off her. And Martha Vickers plays Carmen Sternwood, and she was in her early 20s at the time, and she just has such an energy about her that I just adore. So yeah.
yeah, yeah. They really picked someone
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
like Vickers
Mm-hmm.
in this film is gorgeous, just like absolute stunner. And they've added such
Yes. Mm-hmm.
a dark undertone to that. It's really effective.
Yeah.
Just looking here, she died very young, actually. 46 years old, 1971.
You destroyed my pivot. I was gonna.
Yeah.
they,
Sorry, go
but
ahead.
they, yeah. Um, Speaking of dark things, what else that has that dark film noir vibe would you recommend?
I would recommend another classic Bogart movie. I don't know if it's quite film noir, but it has some of that vibe.
Mm-hmm.
Casablanca.
Beautiful.
Maybe a romance noir versus a full-on film noir.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think like Casablanca is just, it's got an iconic Bogart performance. It's got the snappy dialogue that you know and love. It's got some darker themes that it's exploring, but at the end of the day, it is a very um, uplifting movie. I don't know if it's a full-on. I don't even know how to describe Casablanca because I haven't seen it in a while. But in my
TLDR,
mind,
punch Nazis. That's
yeah,
Casablanca in a nutshell.
they're calling it a romantic drama film, but I think
Sure.
there's a real humor in Casablanca that I really enjoy.
Oh God, I think Casablanca's on the list because I adore that film as well. But we just did Knives Out, and I was like, no, we need to do a bogey mystery. Um, God, we can't go on a tangent. Like we can't.
Yeah.
Um, what I can go on a tangent about is The Third Man, which is another noir film, which is very good, that I would highly recommend.
Yeah.
I would also recommend the comedic side of the noir detective in The Thin Man, which, shameless plug, we did an episode on a while back, which is so fun and so funny.
Yeah.
I also know this isn't a book podcast, but a lot of these are based off of books. The Thin Man and The Big Sleep, specifically, I know for sure. I don't actually know.
Oh, well, yeah, we did talk
Yeah.
about that in that episode because the Thin Man's
No,
based
The
off of a
Thin
Dashiell
Man is
Hammett.
based off a book. The Third Man, I'm not sure if it's based off of a book.
Oh, the Third Man.
Yeah,
I think the Third Man's based on.
I would be surprised if it weren't. I also highly recommend the trailers for The Big Sleep are delightful if you have not seen them. They're Humphrey Bogart reading the book, The Big Sleep,
Oh, okay.
being recommended by a bookseller. You should read this. It's the newest release from Raymond Chandler, and it's just Philip Marlowe reading The Big Sleep. That's so delightfully meta. Oh, look, I get to read
Yeah.
my own biography. No, it's very good.
I would actually also recommend another Chandler
Mm-hmm.
adaptation, another Marlowe noir, which would be the long
The
is it
Long
the long
Goodbye.
goodbye,
Yeah. Oh.
the Altman
Mm-hmm.
movie, directed by Robert Altman with Elliot Gould as Marlowe, which has a very different vibe, and also had a screenplay by Lee Brackett.
Delightful. I'm
Yeah.
all for female writers. Um, I'm also all for finding us at Patreon as Coffee and Kurosawa. You can also find us on Blue Sky and Instagram as Coffee Kurosawa Pod. You can find me on Blue Sky, Instagram, and Letterboxd as Farrah Kaya, and at sarpkaya.ca, where I lend my voice as a voice actor. Ben, where can the people find you?
You can find me on Blue Skies at the Benjimon and on Letterboxd as at Benjimon. I think that brings us to close.
Cue dramatic music. Cue the big
Yeah.
the end across the screen.
Yeah.
And
no rolling credits,
just the end.
Because all the credits come up front. What do we have up next? Should we
certainly can, because I do believe that is Nirvana in your preference.
Yeah, I think next up then would be Nirvana, the band, the show, the movie. That's going to be a fun one. And after that,
I'm so excited for what comes after that, friends. You heard us talk about it once upon a time, and we said never would we release The Lost Godfather. And we're not releasing Lost Godfather, but we are going to be doing The Godfather again, now that we kind of know what we're doing sort of vaguely a little bit. And I am big hype to go back into...
Yeah. Would you say that we're doing The Godfather Part 2?
No, we're doing The Godfather Part 1, and then maybe later we'll do The Godfather Part 2. Damn it.
But we're doing our Part 2
we're doing our
of The Godfather.
2 of The Godfather. Semantics.
The Godfather, the band, the show, the movie. I got you.